our defending champion, Chelsea Sodaro.
Wearing bib number 1, let's give it up for Chelsea Sodaro.
Chelsea Sodaro here to defend her title. We were talking off air a little bit, Michael, about how heavy that burden is.
The reality is that we don't have a lot of balance.
Been through a whole lot, but we overcome. Enemies in our face, but we ain't gon' run. Never drift off course, always stay on mission. Won't slow us down, cause we way too driven. Whole world is watching, and I hope they ready. From here on out, we are legendary. Turn the lights up now, welcome to the show. I ain't never gon' stop, this is all I know. My eyes on the prize, until I die. I'm gonna rise, level up to the skies. Yeah, we here now, we were chosen. All the pain brought us to this moment. Watch everything we work for fall in line. We gon' give it our all until the end of time. We ain't going nowhere. We'll be standing right until the end of time. Until the end of time.
Who's gonna win Kona this year, do you think?
Mama.
What? Who?
Chelsea Sodaro.
How do you cheer for me at the race?
Go, go, go.
There was a ton of glass on the road yesterday, so. C'est la vie. The tire saga continues.
Okay.
My name is Chelsea Sodaro. We're here in my house in Reno. I am a wife to Steve, a mom to Sky, and the 2022 Ironman World Champion.
Quick tire swap. Quick is relative. It takes me a while. I'm no Tour de France mechanic.
It's a collaborative effort with our family. Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work.
I take a lot of pride in how I do things. A coach once said to me, how you cut your carrots is the way you live your life. And that means that intentionality matters, like being excellent at everything matters. So I'm not counting every pedal stroke and I'm not trying to be perfect, but I'm trying to ride my bike really well. I've kind of struggled with the bike a little bit this year. Like it hasn't been clicking in the way that I wanted to. And so I'm trying to just like dial it in and get a little bit better each time out.
Yeah, but Steve cuts your carrots. You don't cut your carrots.
Hashtag blessed.
It's so interesting, like winning Kona was such a surprise last year. I executed the race that I trained for, but I never did the math of what that could add up for. And, I was still only 18 months postpartum and I was just starting to feel like myself. So I wanted to have a solid race there, but the win wasn't really in my realm of expectations, I guess, which made it super fun. I think there's never going to be anything like that.
Welcome to the 2022 VinFast IRONMAN World Championship, Kailua Kona, Hawaii. After 3 long years, we are back in action.
Come on in. How are you today? Yeah, Chelsea Sodaro from the USA, one of our great hopes from the USA here today. Podium finisher at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships in Nice in 2019. It's a couple of years down the road, a couple of years stronger. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just so happy to be here. It's a privilege to race on Kona, my first time. I'm a rookie.
you're just joining us, of course, we just had our body marking show, but now we're back.
I was nervous the entire week. Like, I can hardly finish meals. I am not digesting my food well. I know that it's either going to be a really horrible day or a really epic day, and I'm not sure which one.
It is time to begin.
I tried so hard not to have any expectations for this race because I wanted to have fun and I wanted to race free. That's how I perform my best. I have a lot of self-belief, and I think I knew deep down that I could really compete with these women at the highest level. You spend a lot of energy building yourself up and talking yourself up to convince yourself that you belong here. And when you don't have any media requests or get invited to press conferences, I think that if you take it the right way and use it the right way, it can give you an edge in the competition that maybe they should have been talking about you a little bit more. I wasn't thinking about winning the race. I wasn't thinking about exactly what place I could get, that I could be at the podium. I was honestly curious to see what I could do in the marathon. So I wanted to find out what was possible. I didn't realize how much energy there would be on Elite eDrive. And so I was running at times 10 to 20 seconds faster per kilometer than I had planned during that first 10K. And my heart rate was a little bit higher than I would have liked it to be, but I just felt so good. I really got close to Lucy right before we started running up Palani. And I'm, charging up Palani like a runner, like I'm running hard up there and trying to maintain my pace kind of for some reason running up the hill. But before I passed her, I actually saw Craig Alexander and he kind of like sprinted out to the side of the race course. He said, "Girl, you need to chill." And something just kind of flipped in my brain at that point, and I took a deep breath and I settled down and took my time getting up the hill, took everything I needed from the aid station, was surprised to see Jan Frodeno handing me water and ice there, and didn't pass her until the top of the hill. Was running 5-minute K pace, I think maybe, at that time, and I'm just so surprised that I didn't freak out when I took the lead. Humility is so important to me, but I am really proud of myself that I didn't lose it, that I didn't get overcome by the moment at that time or any time when I was leading the marathon. I don't think that the race in Kona starts into the energy lab. And I was really aware that I could start overheating down there, that I could fall apart at any moment. And I have so much respect for Lucy and Ani that I didn't get ahead of myself. And when we made the turnaround at the end of the energy lab, I knew that I would cross paths with them. And I just told myself, when you see them, you better look so freaking good when you are running by. You need to look like you are out for a Sunday jog. I started to get a lot more confidence that I could finish it off. I still did not imagine winning. I still didn't start thinking about what that would feel like. I heard my competitors cheering for me, which was so humbling. I can't tell you how many people in the amateur field said, "Do it for Sky, do it for the moms."
And I think that just gave so much more purpose to what I was achieving on Thursday. And it felt like, I felt just so much like support from the other women who were out there with me.
I don't think it really set in that she could win the thing.
Right turn, Chelsea Sodaro is
Being so new to this, had no idea what winning Kona meant. It's so much bigger than I thought. I thought it was a world championship. I've been to the other ones, and this one is just on another level. When she crossed the finish line at Kona, it was disbelief.
Kona is the pinnacle of our sport, and of course we have triathlon in the Olympics, and that's an incredible stage as well. But for me, Kona is it. And to win at this race is it's career changing. And I think that there is also this special energy here on the island which people talk about, and I'm not a religious or like very spiritual person, but I think that racing here on one hand is sort of a spiritual experience. Okay, let's go. Come see my magic mirror. Sorry for the mess. This is my mirror, and I change it depending on like the goals that I have coming up. But this is a quote up here. It says, "Make the most important thing the most important thing," and that's Sky. Brush your teeth. Brush. So I usually wake up around 6 a.m. I would say, and ideally I wake up before everybody else so that I can start the coffee, eat my breakfast, answer some emails, and just like have a moment to gather myself for the day. And then my husband will maybe get up around 7, and we'll have a little bit of family time, and then he'll take over for the day.
When we first decided to have a kid, I was stay-at-home dad. That's my dream job. I want to be a stay-at-home dad. And then after doing it, mentally it's tough, especially with somebody who does this 7 days a week and there's no weekends. I feel for people who are at home all day with kids. It's a tough job. Being away from work has also allowed me to work with Chelsea more and travel more, be more a part of the team, and watch Sky grow up.
Steve says that he was a decent runner, but he's actually a sub 4-minute miler and an All-American, and like by far the best athlete in our family. I just like happen to be very motivated and committed to the craft.
I was not the most committed athlete, let's say that.
Just a little 45-minute easy run to end the day. I'm going out to this little dirt road. It's very little and very short. But for me, with like how much I train and my family, it's really important for me to be able to head out the door, like from my front door, and not have to drive anywhere and like waste time. A lot of the times I'll have an easy run in the afternoon and they'll bike along with me to keep me company. We like to blast Moana and sing along while we're cruising the bike paths of Reno. I was like quite overwhelmed with being a professional athlete. It's not a 9 to 5, it's a 24/7 job. It's all about how you take care of your body, how you're recovering, how you're optimizing your training, which means you're never really off. I don't really take off days. I don't go on vacation. We choose to integrate Sky and my family life into my job. I think it makes it more sustainable for us.
How was that?
I'm a little tired. Yeah, a little tired, but this is always my least favorite session of the day, because I think I'm a morning person for training and I'm always kind of dragging by this time, but got it done. After Kona, I never was really able to take a break because I had all of these new business opportunities and I was trying to get my
ducks in a row, and so I never really got to just like check out and relax. And I think I had this sense that I had figured it out a little bit. Like I accomplished the pinnacle of my sport, and it was going to be kind of all up from here. Like I'd figured it out. But some of my like postpartum mental health struggles started creeping up on me. I struggled with like pretty serious anxiety, and I wasn't really able to find like good help. Like after I had Sky, so I just kind of like repressed, pushed down like those mental health issues and tried to white knuckle it, but it got really bad.
This race has historically been an early season proving grounds. Take a look, 3,500 athletes have registered for this event. And of course, the 2023 Ironman 70.3 North American Tri-Club Championship Southwest is happening. Over the years, we have always kind of seen these athletes come out and open their season here. We used to call it the Spring World Championship, and boy, does the competition deliver.
It sure does. I mean, it's always a tipping point here. You want to be prepared because you want to put your best foot forward to start the season, but you don't want to be too fit because we have a long season ahead.
Oceanside is the biggest race on the radar in the start of the year, and to be honest, racing Oceanside as a defending Ironman World Champion brings with it a lot of pressure in itself. You know, especially for Chelsea, she was under the radar going into Kona, then she's a world champion, and now she's going into Oceanside, and all eyes were on Chelsea, really.
You know, life has changed in some ways, but you know, I woke up the morning after the race, and my kid still wanted her glass of milk, and we still had to go to the park. So life is good, and enjoying all of this for sure.
All right, well done. Let's move on down to Ben Canute right now.
The article came out on the Thursday before the race.
When I heard of her mental battle, it was sort of when everyone else heard about it, you know, in the New York Times, and I was pretty shocked, to be honest, that she was battling with demons behind sort of closed doors. And yeah, I was really surprised to hear how much of a struggle it was.
You hear postpartum depression, and most people are like, oh yeah, okay, but I was the same way. I didn't really understand it, and even when she was going through it, if you're not actually going through it yourself, it's so hard to understand, because you're like, well, just, you know, step out, you know, like, just, you know, why are you not happy? You won the biggest race in the world, you know, why do you want to quit? You know, there were times this year, even after the race, she was, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore. And it was so hard to watch that, because I know she doesn't want to quit. She says it, and maybe it's because she says it to me because I say, okay, you're not going to quit. But to watch somebody go through that and be so self-assured before having Sky to going questioning everything. So many moms go through that silently and don't tell anybody. Bringing awareness to that and knowing that they're not alone is huge.
We're excited to kick off the Ironman series here on Ironman Now, once again on Outside Watch. I'm Michael Lovato, and I'm super excited to be joined today by Dee Griesbauer and Taylor Knibb.
Okay, so, well, April Fool's Day today, so your shoelaces aren't, see, I even got you. Gosh, come on, Chelsea, come on.
I've definitely underestimated the pressures of being a world champion. I think I kind of shrugged it off at the beginning of the season, thinking like, pressure is having to race when you're 4 months postpartum, because you need to be able to put food on the table for your family and pay your bills. But there's no denying that competing as the reigning world champion, especially, you know, as a first-time world champion, is kind of another level of expectation.
Let's go, Dee Dee. Here we are It's fun to watch, and the women, even more exciting to see them hit those cold waters and get after it here on the one-lap Roka swim course.
Absolutely, and I thought I saw the green cap of Holly Lawrence shoot at that start line to the front, and that is Holly Lawrence taking the very early lead in our women's race.
This is where it gets tight. Each of those women wants to grab the feet of Holly Lawrence, and neither one is relenting, but it looks like Chelsea Sodaro has the power position there, and she's gonna make the second athlete relent.
I always have very high expectations for myself. I go into every single race thinking like, I could win this thing on my best day. But it's different when everyone else now has those expectations of you. And when you're bombarded with questions, you know, like from media and from other people in the sport, before every single competition. So I've had to, like I said, do a better job of saying no, and I think that my team has gotten better at, like, for lack of a better word, kind of protecting me from those other stressors.
Matthews is having a great race, Mark, after that accident in Texas, last September, and all the way back to the top of the sport straight away. It's a great start to the year.
I don't think anybody expected her to be quite that quickly.
Now we can see that Holly Lawrence is wrecking her bike in first place. So Kat Matthews from the UK, they've had a solid bike ride right now. It's Chelsea Sodaro, the 2022 Ironman World Champion, racking the bike. But it's Kat Matthews going out first with Holly Lawrence. This is incredible. What a great ride out there. Charmy, I tell you what, right now, she is as hard as nails, and the 2022 VinFast IRONMAN World Champion just going out of transition area right now, Chelsea Sodaro.
I think overall Oceanside was a pretty positive race experience. I, of course, felt a lot of pressure coming into that race, and I had just really kind of gotten my ducks in a row with the mental health stuff about 6 weeks prior to the race, so I didn't start training until 6 weeks out, and I didn't know what to expect, didn't know how that would go, and I surprised myself with how I felt across, the swim, bike, run, and I had my fastest ever half marathon at the end of that event. I got second, which I wasn't thrilled about, and I don't like to lose. It definitely lit a fire under my butt, and I came out of the race really motivated to take on the rest of the year. I think initially I was disappointed, but then I started to realize all of the positives that had come from that event, especially with such a short buildup. A couple of days before Oceanside, there was another school shooting, which is just abhorrent and so horrific and tragic. And I wanted to do something meaningful with my platform.
What I'm most excited about is that I'll be making a $5,000 donation with all of my prize money to Moms Demand Action, which is a grassroots organization working to improve gun safety and gun control laws in this country. The #1 killer of kids in the US is firearms, and I want to live somewhere where I can send my kid to school and know that I'll be able to pick her up at the end of the day. So You know, that's something that I'm really excited about, and I definitely fought to the finish line to make as big of a contribution as possible. So, yeah. I have a lot going on, and I'm also a perfectionist. I like things to operate in a specific way, and I like things to be on my schedule and on my timeline, and when they're not, I start to get a little bit agitated.
Her biggest strength is also part of a weakness as well, is that she's so meticulous and such a perfectionist, and I think, you know, she will leave no stone unturned, and she looks at every single micro detail and making sure she's doing it right. But at the same time, sometimes that means that like perfection can stand in the way of progress a little bit.
I have a healthy fear of this race, of these conditions, and I think it requires a very specific preparation, and it requires a lot of homework. I think we're exactly a month out from race day right now. This is when the work happens. I'm here because I think it's really important to train specifically for the event, and this course and climate has a really unique vibe and atmosphere, so I need to prepare specifically for this place. This is for the day. It's a really long day. I think it's going to be like 6.5 hours of training, 7 hours of training, so we're going to be gone for a long time, and I need to make sure I don't forget anything, and there's a lot of things to remember. So yeah, but I think we're good. I think we're pretty much there.
We're doing a 2-week heat acclimation camp, getting ready for the heat, really. I mean, for me, I really believe that there's something very specific about the environment of Kona that cannot be replicated anywhere else in the world, which is why we come here. And my motto is always that you can't manage what you don't measure. And like, my feeling is that if we don't take some objective feedback, we don't know how we're progressing. And when it comes to training, I look at it's quite simple. It's the training's really is just the training versus the response. But without the objective measures that we have, it would be pretty much guesswork. And I'm not really into the into guessing, you know, especially when we've got quite a lot on the line and we need to do things right.
Ready to be off my bike now.
Well, her power for the whole session in training was close to what she did in Kona last year, so can't complain with that.
What do you got to do now?
What do we get to do is the attitude.
What do you get to do?
We get to go for a 10K jog, hard J.
When you think about Formula One, they're looking at the engine, they're looking at the car, and they're seeing how it's responding, and we have the same response. You know, there's aspects of performance. There's the training, there's the equipment, there's the nutrition, and there's the psychology. And you know, if you mark those all out of 5, if either one of those is at 0, your performance will be 0. So everyone is important. So you have to tick every single box. So on the training side, we use a number of measures. So speed on the run, power on the bike, heart rate. We also use muscle oxygenation to give us a better marker of intensity as well. Then on the other side, on the response, we use 2 main things really. Heart rate variability to make sure that she's not getting too tired and she is actually responding well to the training load. Like here, you know, we've seen some really positive things in the heart rate variability every morning, that it's been going in the right direction to show that she has been adapting to the training. We also measure resting metabolic rate, so basically how much energy or calories she uses at rest. Resting metabolic rate drops. I know that she's compensating and maybe getting a bit tired, so we can adjust the training in accordance with that.
Call this the bike my tag.
Just
spindrift and a knee stick. Okay?
Every-
You want to callus, it's called callusing your gut. Creates this callus around your stomach.
It makes you have to.
That's so inappropriate.
This is the swim for the Ironman World Championships in Kailua Bay. It's beautiful. We're gonna do a swim with Paul. A technique kind of like race specific swim. Let's see how it goes.
You know, when you watch the race, you see me out there and it looks like an individual sport, but it's not for me. I have this incredible group of people around me who are all in on this goal, and you know, we win together and we lose together. On the tough days, we all figure out how we can improve, but on the good days, it's the most magical feeling because we all get to share in it. And I come from a team sports background. I grew up playing soccer, and that's the kind of environment that I thrive in.
The swim here in Kona specifically is a lot more challenging than what a lot of people give it credit for. There are swells, there are chop, there's currents, underlying currents, and it really determines exactly where the swimmer needs to be positioned on the start line. Last year, Chelsea positioned herself in perfect position, and it allowed her to actually get some great feet to actually pull around the course. This year, we've been looking at the marginal gains and how we can actually improve upon that and maybe get her swimming in a slightly faster group.
We're working on some start technique stuff. This is not stuff that I enjoy, so that's why we're doing it.
We've been able to identify that there's a point within the race for both the men and the women at around about 300 meters, so around about 4 minutes of swimming, where the group tends to break up a little bit. That's certainly what happened last year. So what we've been doing is we've been identifying how to actually improve Chelsea's performance at that specific point in time to make sure she doesn't get dropped. Last year she was in the second chase pack, and this year we want to try and get her into that first chase pack.
Hello. Hey, baby. Hey, how was your day?
Did we have such an amazing day?
Yeah.
You did.
Are there any nice people here?
Sky isn't with me on this trip.
Sleep well, okay?
I'm asked a lot about how I balance my family life and my work life, and the reality is that I don't balance. I don't really believe in balance. I think that it's maybe about having balance throughout the year or the years, but when I'm preparing for World Championships, I go all in. After Kona, I will be a full-time mom, but when I'm preparing for something like this, I need to be a full-time athlete. And Sky is also always with people who love her and take really good care of her, and she knows that I'm thinking of her, but she also knows that mom has a job to do.
Of our swim start corrals, and we'll see that our PCHC and ID athletes are stacked.
On the women's side, we keep hearing that this year's field could be the best to ever line up in Kona. And with 40 plus years of legendary performances here, that's saying a lot. About 50 of the best female triathletes in the world will be taking on this brutal course and the equally brutal competition.
You've got Chelsea Sodaro, who's won here. You've got Annie Hogg, who's won here. You got Daniela Reef, who's won 4 times here and 5 times overall. You've got all these known commodities at this distance, and then you toss a Taylor Knibb into the mix, who's never run a marathon, who's never done an Ironman, but she's got raw speed.
I hope you enjoyed the race.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Thank you for being here and volunteering.
You look at Lucy Charles Barkley, who's finished second here 4 times, and you kind of think, how determined is she to finally take this win?
I think there's a lot of women here who have something to prove.
We're in for a groundbreaking day in so many different ways, a women's only event, but also a groundbreaking day just in terms of the field that we have here and the depth of this field and just the way this race is going to shape out, I think is going to be really exciting.
With a historic Ironman World Championship race day finally here, you can just feel the weight of the moment. The final minutes of anticipation before the race start can feel excruciatingly long. It's just the culmination of so much preparation and anticipation, so much expectation and hope.
Pressure is kind of a complicated thing for me, and for the first half of the season, I think I was really downplaying that pressure. I think back to being newly postpartum and feeling like I had to race so I could make money to make sure that we could pay the bills. And now the pressure is very different.
You are now in the hands of the starter.
I'll let you go.
Back.
We are racing in the 2023 VinFast IRONMAN World Championship is officially underway, and your professional athletes make their way out on that broken swim course. Let's make some noise, everybody! Come on!
I made a mistake in keying off other people and not being maybe as aware as I could have been. You don't know what kind of day other people are going to have, and so you can't worry about anyone else but yourself, and you need to make sure that you're on top of your positioning.
After the turnaround, Lucy Charles Barkley can get a first glimpse of her chasers.
Kind of rolled onto my back and looked and saw that I had a gap. It wasn't huge. I was like, well, they're a bigger group, maybe they're moving faster, maybe they've managed to get back on my feet.
Closing in on the swim finish, Lucy is still in total control, alone at the front. Clocking a 49-minute, 36-second swim time. She is just a minute off of her course record.
And here she is, Lucy Charles Barkley, first out of the water this morning.
I'm out front now. It gives me a little bit of leeway in transition to sort things out, get on the bike and not be seen. So from the gun, the game plan kind of was unfolding exactly how I wanted it to.
Next out of the water and leading a group of 6 are Haley Chura and Lauren Gray. Taylor Knibb is in that group a minute and 40 seconds behind Lucy, and about 3 minutes behind her, a larger group with Annie Howe, Daniela Reeve, Kat Matthews, and the Americans Sarah True and Chelsea Sodaro.
I didn't panic. I just thought, I have less choices now. So the better the choices that you make early on in the race, the more options that you have later on in the race. And I had fewer options than I maybe would have liked, but I thought this is still a good spot.
Starting the ride, there are 19 women within a 5-minute window to leader Lucy Charles. Among them are past Ironman World Champions and decorated Olympians. Now on dry land, the game has just totally reset.
very interesting.
Yeah, but the fact that these quote-unquote bike runners have stayed this close is remarkable.
In the early miles on the ride, a small pack of 4 women, Lauren Brandon, Ailey Chura, New Zealand's Rebecca Clark, and the rookie, Taylor Knibb, are within a couple minutes of Lucy Charles Barker. A second, much larger chase group is just a few minutes behind them. Within this group are many women who pack a mighty bike run double punch. Daniela Reef, Kat Matthews, Chelsea Sodaro, Annie Haug, Lisa Norden, and Sarah True.
Yeah, I always try to start the bike quite hard to try and get away. I think if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. I knew how strong Taylor was on the bike, and I knew that she would be in that strong pack of swimmers, and if I could get a bit of a gap on her, then hopefully she would ride hard, leave everyone else behind.
Watching Chelsea through the whole race in 2023, it was completely different to 2022. It was not the Chelsea of 2022. She wasn't aggressive on the swim. And then on the bike, yeah, there was no big moves. It was just like she was just kind of there in the middle of the pack, not really doing anything incredible. And again, it was in stark contrast to her performance in 2022, where she was on the front and she was dictating the pace, and she was kind of the aggressor, racing her own race. It was almost like she was sort of in the back seat or almost reeling in 2023. But yeah, it was just a completely different athlete out there.
You know, the last couple of weeks have not been optimal, and unfortunately that played out on the bike for me. And I think that with the level of competition right now, I don't think that you have to be perfect, but I think that you have to be really healthy, and I think that you have to be excellent. This game is about getting to the start line in one piece. We all work really hard. We all put our hearts and souls into our preparation, and so I didn't pull it off this year. I didn't get to the start line in one piece.
Respect that. And Chelsea Sodaro is 12 and a half minutes down when she comes through the Hawi turnaround.
As we were watching Chelsea sort of move back down the track, it was 15 minutes. You're like, oh, that's kind of a lot. She would have to have just an unbelievable day. And then as she kept falling and it was outside of 20 minutes, we sort of knew, okay, Chelsea's not going to win today, but what can Chelsea do?
My whole plan during the bike was to drop out when I got to transition. You know, I saw Steve and kind of told him what was going on, and if he'd said, let's call it, you know, we fought the good fight, let's move on to the next thing, I would have been like, sounds great. But instead, he just said, keep on going, you're doing great. And I think he maybe stretched the truth of how close I was to the podium by a couple of minutes.
Transition, the final turn down Palani. This is Lucy Charles.
The race clock has hit 5 hours and 30 minutes in the women's race, and Lucy Charles is still alone at the front as she starts the marathon.
This is Lucy LCB coming in. Go get them, girl, because it is now time. That 26.2 mile run, Didi, and stop the clock here. We'll get you those official Wahoo element splits soon enough. But Lucy, a little bit bound up, as we all would be hitting that carpet.
Absolutely, and our great volunteers there. For her, that's going to be taking the helmet off and just getting the run shoes on, and out she goes.
Chelsea came off the bike in 20th place. That's a long, long way from where she wants to be, but don't ever count this woman out. She has the strength and pure grit it takes to do something special.
being defending champion and having an off day is so hard. You get off the bike and then you just feel like a failure. Like, even if you're sort of still in the mix, you're like, I'm the world champion and I should be able to defend its world champion and championship. And I think mentally it's really hard to be in that position where you're not having the day that you know you're capable of, and then trying to like mentally get yourself up to then go and run a really, really hard marathon in the heat of the day in Hawaii, and know that you're not going to win. So now you're like, okay, that dream's out the window.
I knew the win was out of the question, and I never really thought about the podium and chasing that. I just thought, let's see if you can get through the elite drive section. I started to feel a little bit better when I got up onto the Queen K. I really worked super hard in my preparation for this race, and I was fit. And I just wanted to try to get to the finish line. And of course, once you start picking off people, that gives you a little bit of momentum. And when I got into that top 10, I thought, okay, this is something. Like, at least you can kind of hold your head high that you got into the top 10, and then there was another woman to chase and another woman to chase. 6 months ago, I would have dropped out of this race. But I've done so much work from a mental standpoint and also with my team. I feel like I've reinvented myself, like both physically and mentally.
It's very easy to throw in the towel when those things happen, and it shows a lot of character for an athlete to push through and just try and do the best they can with what they have. And she did that, so.
In a time of 8 hours and 24 minutes, 31 seconds, Lucy Charles-Barclay of Great Britain captures the 2023 VinFast IRONMAN World Championship title.
Quite literally, the first time we saw her break from that poker face and break from that concentration and that flow that took her to victory was on the finish line. Anna Haug, she's done it in style.
With an unreal marathon run of 2 hours and 48 minutes to punctuate a truly impressive race day.
It's really something special to get a medal at every single Ironman World Championship race I participated in. Of course, you come here to win the race, but the second place was the best I had. And Lucy's race was just from another planet.
And she's got the smile way out here.
And fellow German Laura Philipp is third after a gutsy fight back into contention across the bike and run.
Please welcome Laura Philipp!
It does feel even better if you actually, don't come in fourth for the third time, but just, get that one spot on the podium.
In her first ever Ironman, Taylor Knibb crosses the line in fourth place.
I don't think I had very many expectations. I definitely wanted to make it to the finish line. I am just ready to be here, and then I'm just grateful to cross the finish line and be done.
Representing Switzerland. And five-time Ironman World Champion Daniela Ryf finishes fifth in her final time racing this event.
I definitely thought back to my 4 times where I was running there, winning that race and having the goosebumps. And I mean, this island has given me so much, and this race, it really changed my life.
The 2022 World Champion Chelsea Sodaro is just behind Ryf in 6th place.
I'm probably more proud of my performance than I am of the title. That was way harder than my race last year. I really had to fight for every single pedal stroke and every single stride. I feel like I'm kind of a real iron woman now. I accessed a new level of grittiness. Someone said to me after the race, being a champion means fighting till the very end, even when you know the win has slipped away. And I think I choose to believe that yesterday performance will be career defining for me. I really had to go to some dark places, but what like shocked me is the support that I had on the course, especially from the amateur women. Like how I felt like almost every single amateur woman that was passing me in the opposite direction said, "Come on, Chelsea, you've got this. Yes, yes, yes. Do it for Sky." I really like buy this stuff, you know? Like it's not lip service for me. I think I'm equally inspired by all of the female athletes and moms that are out there on the course with me who managed to carve out time for themselves within their very busy work and family lives. And I feel a lot of camaraderie, and maybe this year even more so, because I think that I really had to fight for it, and that's what all of those women are doing out there.